Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I'm En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, once more for a Rapido Fuego review of a film that I recently got the chance to check out. Theaters are seemingly finally returning, which is pretty cool as people are getting vaxxed and, well, whatever herd immunity is and so on and so forth. But yes, talking to new Guy Ritchie, Wrath of Man.
You ready?
Ready.
This is your temporary sidearm.
What happens if we're pulling pistols in a machine gun fight?
Do you have a problem?
I don't know. Do I?
It's a 10 grand drop. You should have been back 5 minutes ago.
They're serious!
Leave this to me.
Get in the truck next time.
Sorry, pal.
A drastic departure, in my estimation, from pretty much everything Guy Ritchie that I have seen. Now, Snatch is a personal favorite of mine, Lock, Stock is great, but even like Rock'n'Rolla and the weird King Arthur movie that he made, there is a specific tone to most of his stuff, and I feel like last year's The Gentleman perfectly epitomized that. That was in like my top 3 films of the year. I thought The Gentleman was just spot on fun. Wrath of Man. This movie's not very fun, man. It is a very dark, serious, I won't go as far as to say disturbing, but I mean, this is more devoid of that sort of jovialness, I guess, that you get from a lot of Guy Ritchie's work. And I think that that has a lot to do with not just the fact that, you know, Jason Statham coming back. I mean, he's done serious stuff, but then he was also like hilarious in that one with Melissa McCarthy, Spy, and showed his comedic prowess and timing. And so I thought that with them reteaming, it was gonna be a blast and a lot of fun. But I think one of the reasons is the fact that this was remaking a French film, if I'm not mistaken, and it's essentially a revenge tale. So you've got some Death Wish kind of vibes to this, and Jason Statham is a hard-nosed mofo with an element of conviction about him, I guess. So call that what you will, but yeah, man, so he essentially is trying to track down this team of, I guess you would consider them heist mercenary sort of guys, because they're all former military and they're down on their luck after, you know, coming back from being overseas and whatnot. And yeah, they start doing some horrendously nefarious things to actually, you know, get some money and make do. And you've got Clint Eastwood's kid in here. I think his name is Scott Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. And he is the loose cannon of the bunch. And it's got a great cast. I mean, Statham is good. He plays that brooding ruthlessness very compellingly. And despite what you may think from some of the marketing material, that rapper who's in this, I forget his name, but he is prominently shown in a few of the trailers. Don't expect a lot from him. He's just got kind of a cameo of sorts, but the fact that, you know, to try to get younger audiences into the theater to see this, I think that that's why they showed him so much in some of the promotional material. But yeah, so Statham's character is essentially trying to infiltrate this, they are essentially the like the Brinks type people, I guess, the ones who you know, transport these large amounts of physical cash, like physical money. If that it's meaningless, it's just merely as representative as the electronic stuff or your bit Doge coin, whatever the hell. But nonetheless, there is a cash heist that goes down that you see in the trailer, and that is the orchestrating incident that we have the sad loss of Jason Statham's son. And so in an attempt to figure out some information, you know, why this particular truck was hit, the inside jobs, whatever else, you know, all of the different layers of that you try to figure out over the course of the film. Yeah, he takes on a new identity, and he is essentially just peering around for information and just trying to figure out the parties responsible for this robbery that his son was killed in the midst of. And so, yeah, once again, performances are solid. You know, I like a good action movie, but I am more of like the Die Hard type, you know, where I don't want things to be just really dark and really bleak. I'm the same way with my horror, you know, is that I like where the tones are balanced a little bit and you have those peaks and valleys and you do have funny moments that kind of ease the tension, and that is one thing, once again, that Guy Ritchie is notorious for. Yes, his movies are relatively violent, and this movie is relatively violent, man, you know, but I feel like it's like the spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down sort of situation in that regard, and this film is really devoid of it. Maybe there's like a very minor moment or two, like a quip here or there or whatever, but for the most part, it is not the sort of vibe that I am used to from Guy Ritchie, and it's that vibe that even with remake with Armie Hammer and you know, Henry Cavill and you know, so many other things that he has done, like that vibe is what makes me want to watch his stuff. Man from U.N.C.L.E., the title was eluding me for a moment, but yeah, this just didn't feel like a Guy Ritchie movie. You know, I mean, maybe from a stylistic standpoint because it is relatively well directed, but even the score to this is like grim, man, and it sets the tone that I know that artists and creatives, they want to expand and they want to try new things, and so this is definitely Guy Ritchie trying something different as far as just the all-out vibe and tone, as I've said. I think that for people that don't need those sort of like slips in the seriousness when it comes to their action, like it's why I love stuff like The Big Hit. You know, it can be very violent and yet very fun, or you know, Lucky Number 11, or you know, Shoot 'em Up, stuff like that. That's where, if you're gonna bring the ultra violence, I don't know, I need that sort of balance, and I don't really feel like you have this. So I suppose I'm just not, as I said during my recent review of Cruella, maybe I'm just not the, you know, targeted demographic for something like this, or it's just, you know, not to my liking. As I constantly contend on this channel, art is subjective. It is a very important thing to keep in mind. But yeah, Wrath of Man, I thought had its merits, and you know, Statham plays this sort of brooding character very well. I do like the goofiness of like a Crank, or the aforementioned Spy, or even the utter just ridiculousness of him fighting megalodons, you know, even though I didn't really particularly care for that movie either. It should have been Eli Roth, it should have been rated R, but I digress. Wrath of Man just did not do it for me, despite being a well-made film and a relatively interesting story, especially with that structuring specifically. But since I have to grade it, I have to give 1 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs. This one, you know, it is probably more like a 2.5, you know, but I will relent because I don't give half scores here, and I will say 3 out of 5. It is a bueno film, but this is not going to go down in like the pantheon of Guy Ritchie's IMDb as one of the absolute best. I will say Scott Eastwood as the unhinged asshole, he's relatively effective. I feel like, you know, he, based on his lineage, had the direct path to getting involved in this sort of thing. And with some of his earlier performances, I've been like, nah, this kid's not that good. And just because Clint is his pops, that's why he's getting all these opportunities. But he was effective in this villainous role. I will give him that. And also the dude who plays Mother's Milk from The Boys is in it, in a small role, part of that crew. He's good too. So yeah, I mean, I will up my score by that half point and say this is 3 out of 5, this is bueno, as I had already mentioned. So I extend the grande gracias. I've been Jaime En Fuego. You can find more on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on the YouTubies, where a like, a share, a subscribe is greatly appreciated. As we wind through the presumed end of this horrendous pandemic, it's been nice to return to the theaters a little bit more, and I feel like there is a stacked June ahead of us, so you can look forward to probably some more content from me at this particular point, aside from the horror show, where we put up, well, it's only a few episodes a week now since the channel relaunch. I have my Stephen King show there. We do at least a couple live shows a month, being a book of the month, Cy King related, and yes, various other things, news, review roundups, and things of that nature. So if you're in the Spooktacular and just stumbling upon this review for whatever reason, check it out. And that's the end of the proceedings for today, peeps. So until the Reel of Ka comes around once more, I say hasta luego. San amigos, constant viewers and readers alike, say thank you for sharing this film palaver with me, and I hope we share more of it sooner rather than later. So until then, yes, watch more movies, and if you're feeling up to it, hit up a theater.